Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, hoping you guys are having a good Friday. And again, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. We are back with the conclusion of our top five albums of the 1990s. We have reached year 1999. As you can tell, Bill is quite excited that we've reached the end of this decade. Hallelujah. Okay.
I
So
should have wore the Prince shirt like Stacy suggested this morning. 1999. I didn't even think of it.
there you go. There you
How am
go.
I supposed to party?
Well, I'm sure you'll party no matter what. It's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, as is customary with these episodes, we have picked our top five albums of 1999 plus two honorable mentions. So, without further ado, I will hand the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster, and he'll give us his number five for 1999.
All right. I'm ready to roll. All right. This was last year's number one. Their follow up, their fourth album, Spock's Beard, has fallen to the fifth place for the year with Day for Night. That doesn't mean this is a bad album. This is excellent. It's just not quite as good as The Kindness of Strangers. And maybe the competition's a little stronger at the top. Um, this has one of their epics, The Healing Colors of Sound, but it's broken down into individual parts. They're listed as separate songs, so you wouldn't know it's an epic unless you get the live version, maybe, where it's all one track. It also has another one of their great ballads in line with June from the previous album. This one is called The Distance to the Sun. It's absolutely gorgeous. This stark, almost acoustic ballad. We can be as one and be further than the distance to the sun. Yeah, it's quite nice.
He's singing,
Um,
guys. He's singing. My God.
sort of.
Sort of.
It has a song called Gibberish, which is one of their essential Gentle Giant tributes, which they have a number of those. They like to give nods to Gentle Giant with the vocals in particular. Um, yeah, it's really, there's nothing wrong with this album at all. A lot of people think it's a favorite, but of the first four albums, this is my least favorite. Actually, the first five. But again, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's a damn good album still. I can't go wrong with the first five albums by this band.
Okay.
Not that there's nothing good after, but those first five in particular are my sweet spot. So yeah, Day for Night, Spock's Beard, number five.
That's a good one. I am learning a lot from you, like in terms of these albums from these bands. I've heard of Spark Spirit, but I haven't seen this many albums from them at all, right? On these shows. So that's good. My number five, ladies and gentlemen, is Jan Ackerman with Passion. Jan Ackerman, uh, guitarist from the Dutch progressive band Focus. He went on his own. He has released albums like you would not believe, like from like the 1970s on. He has been signed to Polydor, Atlantic, uh, Virgin, like many labels. This is an instrumental acoustic album. Uh, again, Passion, all acoustic guitar. Uh, just, it's one of those albums that, again, you just want to put on with the lights off and just sit back and just close your eyes and you're off on a journey. Um, I do have his box set called the Complete, I believe it's called the Complete Jan Ackerman, 26 CDs. Okay, 26 albums in one box set. And in that set, you go from progressive rock to classical influenced, like all over the place. Acoustic, some dance oriented stuff when he recorded for Atlantic in the late 70s. But this album, Passion, is basically just him and just his guitar. And he does like mini suites, like the first two tracks are called Suite One and Suite Two. And but as a whole, this is a really good album. It's just you just want to sit back, close your eyes, and just enjoy the ride with this album. And yeah, it's my number five.
Cool. You always give me the unintentional earworms because as soon as you said his name, I heard
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 No, it's true. It's true, but he's fantastic. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is a great player.
Yeah, yeah. And there was an interview I saw with Brian May about a year ago where he said that he was at a music um, show, like one of these festivals, and Jan Ackerman was on the bill with him on the same bill, and Brian May was actually nervous to meet Jan Ackerman because he loves his playing so much. Like you would think, Dr. Brian May, right? From
Yeah,
Queen and everything he's done, he's actually nervous to meet Jan Ackerman, right? It's hilarious, but you know what? Everyone has a hero, right?
exactly.
In terms of music and stuff. So yeah, that's my first one. This is a really good album. I think you could check it out. It's on you can get this as part of his box set. The box set goes for about I paid for the 26 album disc set, I paid like $150 for it. And it's worth it. But you can also listen to this album on YouTube. So mhm.
Let's see. This one is a little more modern than Jan Ackerman for the most part, but the main guy here is influenced by so many people from that era. Um, this is sort of a new era for Porcupine Tree. This is Stupid Dream. It's one of the alternate covers. This is a later edition. This is the two disc. It has the 5.1 surround sound and 24-bit stereo and all this good stuff. The 2005 stereo mix. Yeah, this is one of their last couple of official albums with drummer Chris Maitland. And I rather like Chris Maitland. I actually prefer this era of the band overall to their later era. Um, this is smart, progressive, psyche pop, basically. Um, Lots of cool little catchy songs. The opener is probably the big fan favorite, even less. It's kind of a guitar workout. And if you get the album recordings, which has all kinds of tracks that hadn't been released, if you get the full length, I think it's like 15-minute version of even less with some slightly altered lyrics. This is No Rehearsal is a great little psychedelic pop song. Really, this is for those who like, if you know Steven Wilson, if you know Porcupine Tree at all, I guess it depends on what you know them for. I think most people, if anything, know them for their more modern
Yeah.
hard rock era, the Deadwing and In Absentia, and God, the one that came after Deadwing that so many people love. That Fear of a Blank Planet. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fear of a Blank Planet never did a lot for me. I'm kind of an odd Porcupine Tree Steven Wilson fan there because it's not one of my favorites. But I
It's your
digress. We're
opinion.
talking about '99.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
your
this is
opinion.
not the kind of hard rock stuff like that. It's rock, it's pop, it's psychedelic, but we're not getting into anything approaching metal at this point yet. So if you're looking for that, you might want to look elsewhere in the
Yeah.
catalog. This is a kind of a transitional phase between the heavy instrumental Pink Floyd type stuff and prior to the metal. It's kind of a sweet spot. This and the follow up album, Light Bulb Sun.
Yeah.
They're kind of a pair. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, if you like anything else you've heard from Steven Wilson or Porcupine Tree, and you haven't checked it out, by all means, Stupid Dream is I think one of their best.
Okay. I'm definitely going to check that out because everyone talks about in absentia and all that, right? Like that is the one that people really do talk about. Fantastic photo.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Jeez.
Yeah, these little sets are nice. This is one of those booklets here. But you have the crappy digipack booklets, and then you have the nice ones. Like this is one of the ones that's not going to fall apart in 2 seconds because it's really thick. It's like a hardback book.
Okay. Well, there goes my bank account. All right. Oh, that's a good one. My number four, I'm gonna lean over here on the desk here because I can. Um, there we go. There we go. Right in the camera, right in the camera there. Okay.
Cheating.
Yeah, really. My number four is XTC with Apple Venus Volume 1. Now, basically, at this point, XTC have been reduced to uh, Andy Partridge and Colin Mulder or Malden. Um, the guitarist at this point has left the band because Andy Partridge is Andy Partridge's dominance over the band is absolute, and it is solidified with these recordings that they do. Sorry, they do this album, and it's basically more of a softer approach in terms of the music, more orchestral elements, keyboard sequencing, electronic drums, programming. It's a good album. I really do need to listen to it more, which is why it's number four on the list. I got this one and the companion one that came after it, and the name escapes me right now. But songs on note on the album are "I'd Like That," "River of Orchids," and "Easter Theater," which is a good one too. So that's my number four.
You're not the only one where the name is escaping you because as soon as you talked about the guitarist, the band Big Big Train
Yeah,
featured former XTC guitarist for a number of albums, and I'm sure it's the same guy probably, and I cannot think of his name. So we're both
the
having
name.
brain lapses.
Then yeah, I'm having a brain fart. The name Dave.
Oh yeah, Dave Gregory.
That's right.
Yeah, he went on to join a modern progressive rock band, Big Big Train.
Yeah,
And
Dave Gregory and Andy Partridge were having issues. Andy Partridge, let's put it this way, Andy Partridge thinks of himself as XTC. And as much as he says he doesn't, he does. Uh, Colin Mulden, I said, like, in terms of the music out, the ratio in terms of who wrote what, Andy Partridge had to have a majority of his tracks on the albums. And Colin wrote good songs as well. But
didn't Colin write Dear God?
no,
No? Why
no.
am I thinking that? Oh well.
No, Andy Partridge did, and he was afraid to put it on the album because he thought of the religious theme of the track that people were going to think that he was, more, Bible thumping or whatever, or God fearing, whatever. But he didn't. He didn't want to have any controversy. It was Virgin that wanted to repress like re-add it to the track listing on subsequent pressings of the album. So, and Geffen too in the US.
All right. Yeah, XTC is another band that they're on the list of bit by bit I'm digging into, but it's a big project.
It is. It is. You're number three, right? Yes, number
Yep.
three.
My number three is the number three. Here we go again. Three, just like last year. This is the third album by this band. This is The Rocket Scientist with Oblivion Days. Uh, they've been mentioned before. I've mentioned both their albums. They're tied in with Lana Lane, Lana's husband, Eric Norlander, who is the leader of this band, blah, blah, blah. You've heard me talk about them, folks, if you've
Yeah.
watched the last few. This album is their heaviest yet. They got proggier and more metallic at the same time on this album, I think. Part of that has to do with a guest star named Arjun Lucasen, who also is known as Arion. That Arion is his rather well known amongst the community project, which is basically a bunch of symphonic progressive metal concept albums, one after the other, with multiple guest stars.
Yeah.
And for a time here in the late 90s, early 2000s, Arjun and Eric Norlander and Lana Lane were pretty tight. They appeared on each other's albums for a few years. And at some point in the early 2000s, they had a very serious falling out to the point that Arjun had toured with them in Japan with Lana Lane and Eric and the Rocket Scientists and all. And they released a DVD of some of those performances. And Eric literally edited Arjun's playing out and Arjun's video appearances out and put in guitarist Pierre Verschuren to actually replace his playing and showed a side image of Pierre playing guitar, even though he wasn't there. That's
Oh
how bad it
Lord.
was.
Oh
And
Lord.
yeah, Eric really tatted out for Argent at this point. It was bad blood. Yeah, I don't know all the details, but whatever the problem came to be, what they had before was excellent because they all put out some of their best material in this brief window here from like 99 to 2002 when they were all appearing on each other's albums. You'll be hearing more from those other artists here as we go into a next decade eventually from the collaborations.
Eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, Arjun added some guest guitar and yeah. This let's see, Aqua Vitae is one of my favorite Rocket Scientist songs. It opens with some really heavy drums, and this is one that I threw in the Counterpart CD exchange years ago, Aqua Vitae, and had the guy that started the CD exchange, Rob, is largely a punk and metal fan.
Mhm.
He really loved it. He said that's what progressive rock should sound like, basically. So, for whatever that's worth, the punk and metal guy thinks this is his kind of prog on Aqua Vitae. Um, but there are also some mellow songs in here. They also do a cover of the theme song from the old, somewhat obscure now TV series Space 1999. For anybody who remembers that,
Okay.
uh, yeah, this is yeah, the evolution of the rocket scientist here. There'll be more to come in the future eventually, of course, because yeah, I was buying all the stuff that this whole crew put out, and
Hmm.
I still love it all. It all fits together.
Hmm.
So that is my number three,
That's
Oblivion Days by Rocket Scientists.
that's cool. That's cool. My number two is Vertical Horizon with Everything You Want. Now, Vertical Horizon, I believe I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Matt Scapel, I believe is his last name. Uh, the bald-headed guy who sings. Okay, I mean, in terms of bald heads, uh, you know, say what you want about Vertical Horizon, AOR rock, yacht rock, whatever. I don't think they're yacht rock. Um, Basically melodic pop, adult pop is what I call it. Uh, this was their big breakout through album for RCA. Very melodic, very just emotional based music in terms of good hooks, good melody, and delivered with, in my opinion, just delivered in a very sophisticated way. The title track, for those, and if you want a pop reference or a pop culture reference, it was featured on an episode of Friends. Okay, we're not going to go there. Okay,
Oh, there's the other earworm. Thanks,
yeah,
Armando.
with and that episode of Friends featured Tom Selleck. Okay, so let's not go there. Very melodic, fantastic. Starts off with the lead off track "We Are," which is really heavy. "You're a God," which is one of the singles, and the video featured Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell. Let's not even go there. Um, but and everything you want, you know, the guy is basically saying in this song, "I'm with you. I'm around you. We have been friends for years. We love each other as friends. I will give you anything you want. I have everything, I will give you my heart, my soul, but you don't want anything from me like that." So it's killing him, okay? But it's delivered very poignantly and very melodically, okay? Other songs of note are Miracle on the album, Best I Ever Had, Gray Sky Morning, which is one of the singles. Again, it's another relationship oriented track. The first side of this album is fantastic, okay? Which is like what, there's 11 tracks, so there's 6 tracks on side one, I believe. So if you're looking at the CD, so the first half of the album is really good, which is why I listen to, which is why it's number two. They could not duplicate the success of this album. They had another album that came out, I believe, 2002 called Go. RCA did not promote them, didn't basically drop the band after Go. They released other albums with different band members, different lineups. The last album I do believe that they did, of any note, featured a track co-written by Neil Peart, and he played drums on one of the tracks. So on the track he co-wrote. So this is a good album. Check it out on YouTube. You can get it on Discogs. Probably even get it on Amazon at a discount price. Vertical Horizon, everything you want. Go check it out.
Yeah, I Stacy and I unintentionally saw them last September in concert because they played a fall fest here in our town.
Yeah.
We went with some friends and got to hear their show. They did, they did a nice version of Purple Rain in addition to their own material. Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I should also, if I said it was not my number two, it's my number three. So I apologize. No,
Oh yeah,
I remember you mentioning you when you sent me an email saying that you're at this show with Vertical Horizon and they're doing
yes,
a version of Purple Rain as I'm texting you, you said, and it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's
yeah.
interesting.
They did a nice version of it. The crowd
Cool,
was definitely into it,
cool.
and they had. Oh, yep. Here's another one of those brain farts. It's the guy who was Porcupine Tree's touring guitarist through most of the 2000s, the first decade there. I cannot think of his name. He has his own solo career also, but he was in Vertical Horizon at this point. He was part of their live lineup when we saw him. That
Okay,
kind of blew my mind when I saw he was up there. Wow, that's cool.
okay, okay.
Or there's your trivia. There's the Porcupine Tree connection to keep it back on. We're all still in 1999, one way or another.
There you go. There you go.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Here we go. That's it.
Heaven forbid. All right. You're number two, is it?
All right. Everybody got a cut foot loose. Come on. Not really. That was a crap song. Sorry, Kenny. You did better.
Oh my God.
Um,
Bill, go. Come on.
all right. My number two. Uh, yeah, I've mentioned all but one of their albums so far. So I've mentioned them a number of times through the 90s. This is my favorite. And when I saw them in concert back in 2006,
Whoever could
actually,
they
they were
be?
called Brain Surgeons NYC in 2006 with a slight membership change. But yeah, I told Deborah Frost that this was my favorite album. I got to talk to her after the show, along with David Hirschberg, bass player, and new member Ross the Boss from the Dictators on guitar at that point. Oddly enough, Albert Bouchard was the only one I didn't talk to after the show because I guess I was too starstruck or something and
No, no.
felt bad because it was a poorly attended show. All the crowd had left before they came on, and there was like five of us there to watch them. It was great because we were up close and all, but I felt so horrible. This guy that used to play stadiums with Blue Oyster Cult,
Isn't it? Yeah.
the guy who literally put the cowbell in Don't Fear the Reaper, and I felt bad for him, so I didn't talk to him. But yeah, anyway, back on subject. The Brain Surgeons. This is Piece of Work, and there's another one of those wild covers. And this is a double album. You have Peace and you have Work, and it's all over the map. This is pretty much their White Album. This is their Exile on Main Street. Probably closer to the White Album because it's so eclectic
Hmm.
and a little bit of this, that, and everything. It's mostly original material, some of it old stuff, lyrics they had in the can, some of it written by Deborah and Albert. Um, they even do a version of Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, of all things.
Hmm.
Uh, they do a version of Biloxi, which I believe, if I remember correctly, was originally by Moby Grape, uh, yeah, which is a nice a cappella piece. And they do a great job of that. It's hard rock, it's pop, it's mainstream rock, it's a little punky, it's spooky, funny, cool, eclectic. It's a mess, but it's
Mhm.
a beautiful mess. I like it quite a bit. This was the last official album to feature guitarist Peter Bohevsky and the late Billy Hilfiger.
Mhm.
After this point, they would become a three-piece for a while with Albert Deborah and bassist David Hirschberg being the ever-present core of the band before Ross the Boss joined on guitar a few years later.
Mhm.
This, I think, is their high point. I like everything they did before and after, but if you could get one Brain Surgeons album, this kind of tells you everything they were all about in one messy package.
Mhm.
So piece of work. It was really close to being my number one. I mean, I could really flip my number one and number two any given moment. So
Yeah,
it's almost a tie.
it's all right. That's cool. That's a good one. Again, you're teaching me stuff that I don't even know about.
And may not need to know about or want.
It doesn't hurt to learn, right? I mean, so m my number two, ladies and gentlemen, and the dogs agree.
Sorry, folks. Let me hit the mute
Those,
while
please.
Armando's talking.
And my number two again is Dream Theater with Metropolis Part Two, Scenes from a Memory. This album, for me, is a very personal album. First of all, I write about it on Wikipedia. I do that sometimes. I look up groups and I read up on albums, and I read about this album and I like the synopsis of the album so much. I went out and bought the son of a bitch. Again, released to Electra Records. This is a concept album of an individual by the name of Victoria, who is a ghost, and she comes to this individual named Nicholas in a dream, and she asks him to help her find out who murdered her. And it is a very intricate story of love, deceit, loss, and murder. Okay. Told over 12 tracks, very intricate, very uh, ornate in terms of there's like orchestral elements that are done on the album. It's done in various and acts, and it is just beautiful. John Petrucci's playing on this album is fantastic. Mike Portnoy on this album is sublime on the drum kit. There's heavy elements, there's softer elements, symphonic, as I said. There's also vaudevillian moments in terms of the musical arrangements. You know what? It comes together beautifully, seamlessly. You know what? And because of a personal situation that happened in my family, I take this album very seriously. I'm not going to go into it. I've done it before. I'm not going to do it again. But if you want an album that is heavy, that is melodic, that is intricate, layered, very textured, but also very accessible, this album, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater, is for you. Okay? If you don't believe me, and again, with any one of our picks, do not take our word for it. Listen to them yourselves on YouTube before you buy these albums if you don't have them. Okay. We're not experts, as I said in the previous episode, but these are our choices. So again, listen to this album. You'll love it. Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. And if I have the titles reversed, my apologies. Back over to Bill.
That one is very that doesn't that pretty much come up on the top of the list for Dream Theater fans typically.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're talking about regression therapy and going back in time and learning, like past lives and reincarnation. Nicholas happens to be Victoria in the present day, and the therapist that he is talking to about these dreams happens to be the husband who murdered Victoria back in the 20s and tried to make it look like a double murder suicide between Edward and Jeremy, the two brothers. Basically, Victoria had an affair with the brother, okay, Edward's brother, and Edward took revenge. It's very intricate. I think I have it screwed up, okay? But it's very intricate, okay? So you really have to listen to it and pay attention. But musically, it is sublime, okay?
All right, cool. That was number two. Yes,
Yes.
yes. All right. My number one, she finally gets to the top after being a bridesmaid multiple
Oh,
times. It's Lana Lane, Queen of the Ocean. This is probably her most melodic, most beautiful, most symphonic album yet at this point in her career. It's really well produced. It's by Eric Norlander as always throughout her career. He produces everything for her, the Rocket Scientist, and his own albums. This features a bonus track for the Japan version, which I have, which is a cover of Season's End by Marillion. And oddly enough, I heard Lana's version before I went back and heard Marillion's version, so I'm kind of partial to it.
yeah.
Both are quite lovely, though, and very effective. But this has probably my favorite Lana song on it, which is the title track, Queen of the Ocean, which is almost 10 minutes long. There's a certain amount of repetition to it, but that's not a bad thing. It's just a gorgeous song. Sonically, think somewhere in the territory of the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin, that kind of beautiful.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hitting me now. Okay.
And it has lots of building to it. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Um, and it has hard rockers on here: Frankenstein, Unbound, Souls of the Mermaids. I mean, listen to these titles. In the Hall of the Ocean Queen. You get where we're going here. It's some of it could be considered over the top or cheesy to some degree if you don't have a taste for this sort of thing, but it's all quite very well done.
Mm.
Um, Everyone is playing great here, and again, the one of those Jacek Jurka covers, the surrealistic images there.
I am gonna look up that one and get it because from what you're describing, yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, it's quite good. Um, yeah, this one and the follow up were kind of a peak, I think. There's a lot of great stuff yet to come, but really this whole era, like I said, was a sweet spot for all these artists.
Mhm.
But yeah, Lana
Mhm.
Lane, Queen of the Ocean.
Perfect.
I highly recommend checking out the title track, just sitting back, closing your eyes, and let
Hmm.
it take you away.
Excuse me. Good choice. Ladies and gentlemen, my number one for 1999 is The Tea Party with Triptych. They Jeff Jeff Martin and the boys are back with the follow-up to 1997's Transmission. This album, when it came out, actually, this was the first album that the Tea Party released that had their first number one hit in Canada ever. Um, they've often referred to their greatest hits collection as a greatest hit because although they've released albums like literally from 93 to 2004, like every other year, album tour, they really didn't have a major hit until the track Heaven's Coming Down uh, from Triptych, again produced by Jeff Martin. Fantastic heavy album, beautiful, beautiful. You have songs like Undertow and again Heaven's Coming Down. As I said, their first number one hit in Canada. Other songs of note on the album are Slight Attack, In These Living Arms, um, just amazing. Gone is the last track on the album, which is more, it's symphonic along with acoustic guitar, very beautiful. Halcyon Days is another one, another heavy track. The the Tea Party were on a on a road, like on a path where they would do an album and a tour, album tour, album tour. They were in that cycle, which is a better way to describe it. And they didn't let up again until 2004, and then they broke up in 2005. But Triptych for me, again, it's heavy, it's melodic, it's accessible. They also did a cover, another song I failed to mention. They did a cover of a song called The Messenger that was done by Daniel Lanois. Beautiful song, just gorgeous. These guys never got their fair shake or their fair due of attention or admiration from the US market. At this point, they basically decided to give up on the US market. They had left Atlantic in the US after the release of Transmission, and they basically concentrated on markets like Buffalo and Detroit, areas like that. It's a shame because this is a fantastic album. You really need to check it out. It is again on YouTube. It is beautiful. Triptych from the Tea Party, #1.
Right. Now you have your official Canadian content quotient.
There you go. Hmm. There's more coming though.
Oh, all right. I almost pulled the switch and traded out one of my honorable mentions. And when I was looking through my CDs earlier, getting all these props ready, and I found one I'd forgotten. But nope, I'm going to stick with this one. It's been on my list for weeks waiting to do this. So my first honorable mention is Blinker the Star with August Everywhere. This is pretty much a power pop album. I mean, if if you like everything from Cheap Trick to Jellyfish, just to give you an idea, that you probably would find a lot to enjoy on this album. Just catchy melodic pop rock songs, just extremely well done. This was kind of their biggest hit, but it wasn't that big a hit at all. There was apparently follow up that didn't quite capture the vibe in the same way. And shockingly, this is another one of those that I discovered through that old CD exchange on the Counterparts message board. I think I need to do a whole separate episode. Here's my CD exchange CDs, and thanks folks for all this music you introduced me to. But yeah, Blinker the Star, August Everywhere. The Below the Sliding Doors was apparently a minor hit in some markets. And the chorus was like, "We walk under the clouds on a sunny day," something like that. Yeah, nothing world changing, but if you like catchy power pop songs, it's worth your time.
Hmm. That's good. That's a good choice. Again, I'm learning stuff from you on these episodes, you know. My first honorable mention is Creed with Human Clay. You know, call them what you want. I mean, you know, Creed, they had a short, you know, they're one of those bands, Creed, that had a window of time in terms of what was, you know, popular in terms of on what was on the charts. They're considered an alternative rock band. But I'm asking again the question, alternative to what? You know, this album is known for the major hit single from this album with Arms Wide Open, which I do like. You know, Scott Stapp, you know, hell of a vocalist. You know, he left the band. He also, there were rumors of him uh, because he was drinking. He had issues with alcohol, and what he didn't, he did appear on a U.S. Music channel, inebriated, and he was acting, you know, off his head. Found out that he's actually allergic to alcohol. That the alcohol has an adverse reaction to him. Like he cannot drink. So he got straightened out. And from the research I did this morning, the band reunited with Scott Stapp. He was also going to do a solo album that was going to be produced by Jeff Martin. of the Tea Party. But Jeff Martin, after the Tea Party folded, backed out of the project. He worked on his own album at that point. Other songs of note on Human Clay are What If? And I do believe that that's featured in one of the Scream films. And if you see the video, it's quite, quite kitschy, right? Because I mean, they're integrated within the movie, right? In terms of, the character, the villain from Scream, Ghostface. It's a good album. And another song I note on the album is Higher. You know, call them what you want. You know, they were a good band. Okay, when they were able to stay together and release albums. Okay, who knows? With Scott Stapp back in the band, uh, Mark Tremonti is also in the band as well again. So they may be releasing albums coming up. You don't know. So we'll see about that. But that is my first honorable mention.
Cool.
Create with Human Clay. So how are the dogs, by the way?
Quiet at the moment. Yeah, I don't know what's going on out there.
That's cool.
Uh, yeah, Creed at the time, they sounded good enough on the radio, but of course I joked about them because they were so popular, and there was still a certain element of me as a music fan that was like wanting to crap on the cool popular stuff and hey, you kids, get off my lawn. And I'd joke about Scott Stapp sounding like Eddie Vedder trying to knock a deuce out, so to
I
speak. But
I
in
actually
hindsight, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I prefer Scott Stapp's vocals to Eddie Vedder. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I do too.
that's gonna get me in trouble, but you know what? Who gives a shit? I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think he's a better singer. So yeah, there you go, Pearl Jam fans. You can come get us both on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've aged well. Um, yeah, still, I mean, the big hits off this were Higher and With Arms Wide Open. Of course, they were played incessantly, but With Arms Wide Open, yeah, I'm not even going to go into the lyrics. Yeah,
You all right?
yeah, I associate it with the birth of my son Neil,
Oh my God. Okay, okay, okay. I got it. I got it.
who has been on the channel before. Some of you may recall
Yeah,
his couple
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
appearances
yeah,
here. So
yeah.
yeah, this song gets pretty emotional for me, especially I can't sing along without.
I know.
So yeah,
Now that you mentioned
they could
Neil,
do that to me, then yeah,
now
props.
that
I can't talk shit about him.
now that you mentioned that you associate it with Neil, I'm starting to tear up a little bit. I'm like, okay, I get what he's talking about. I'm like,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
mean, how are you going to crap on a guy who's talking about the birth of his child?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
yeah, they get too much hate. It's not deserved, I think.
No, it's like again, it's like the Tea Party. You mentioned their name and like their name, and people are like, who? What? Like, oh, that the Canadian band that wanted to sound like the Doors. It's like, you know what? To all of you that I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So, anyways, your last honorable mention.
Yeah, that was a yeah, good pick there. It might almost get you as much hate as Van Halen 3. That's another story. Okay, my honorable. I've mentioned them before. They almost won my album of the year in '97. Came in second to one Mr. Joe Jackson. It's Marillion, and it's Marillion.com. This is another one of those cool books like the Porcupine Tree one. It's quite nice. Good, sturdy. Yeah, nice package. And these pictures, if I recall correctly, in here, they're all Marillion fans that helped. That Marillion were pioneers at this point
With
when
the
they were
yeah,
getting
with the
into
fundraising.
exactly. Say Amanda Palmer kind of became more famous for it a few years after by using Patreon, and I think she was the first to raise $1 million. And I'm a big Amanda Palmer fan, so you'll be hearing from her eventually. But
Mhm.
Marillion really pioneered this, and yeah, more power to them. They're still doing it. They still can get the fans to jump on board and shell out and know they're going to get good stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
you may not consider it your favorite album when it comes out, but it's always going to be good. And sometimes they throw out a masterpiece without warning. So a lot of people, again, don't like this period as much, because they were getting a bit away from traditional progressive rock stuff and getting more into all types of different alternative sounds, modern rock sounds. Though they did have a song called Interior Lulu here, which is one of their epics. It's like 15 minutes and change, I believe. And
Mhm.
it's quite nice. They also have a song called Built In Bastard Radar. So, yeah, they're often known as this kind of really mellow, melodic band, and they often are very moody and slow burning. But with a song title like that, yeah, that just kind of gives you a hint. Yeah, they can
Yeah,
rock out too if they want
it
to.
gives you, yeah, your attention is like peaked and like, what the hell, built-in bastard radar? Okay.
And yeah, I love the cover. Just this whole, I mean, you might as well turn that into a cell phone now,
Yeah, yeah.
and you can draw your own conclusions from what that might represent there. But yeah, this is quite nice. If you checked out This Strange Engine, well, this would be a good one to check out too. I skipped over Radiation, their album in between the two. It almost made my previous list, but it got knocked out at the last minute when I remembered one. But yeah, all of them in this run are really quite good, I think.
Cool, cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my last honorable mention for 1999 are Saga with Full Circle. Um, this album, again, the full classic lineup of the band with Steve Negus on drums. This also marks the return of the Chapters uh, saga kind of thing, the setup, where they have chapters 9 on this album, and I think chapters 9, 13, and 10 in that order, because they would always do the chapters out of sequence, right, to make you sort of think. And the chapters are basically a science fiction story about the brain of a young Albert Einstein, kind of, and that's how I'm going to go into it because it gets kind of convoluted after that for me. But songs of note on the album are Remember When, Chapter 9, which that starts off the album. Home is another one. The One is another good song. Follow Me is another good song as well. This basically is they moved away from the more intricate arrangements, more straightforward, you know, uh, ribs cracking, uh, guitar chords and basically straightforward rock, you know what I mean? And it's a good album. I'm still listening to it. I'm still, you know, learning more as I listen to it, but it is a good album. And they do have that, the image on the cover of the alien, the I guess you call it a praying mantis alien kind of, form, being on their covers. After this album would come House of Cards in 2001 and Marathon in 2003. And Steve Negus at that point would leave the band permanently. But yeah, it's a good straightforward rock album. There's no hidden messages behind it, with the exception of the Chapters series that's started up again. Because for a few albums there, they didn't touch the Chapters storyline at all. But there you go. And little footnote: if you guys want uh, an album of all the chapters done from 1 to 16, there's an album called The Chapters Live, which came out in 2005, and it features the last live recording of Steve Negus with the band, where they do all the chapters again from 1 to 16 in order, and you get the full idea of what the storyline is. So that is
Cool.
my last honorable mention.
You did say there would be more Canadian content.
Yes, I did.
There it is.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Saga. Nice.
So, and again, guys, like we've said before, we're not experts. We've never claimed to be. So these are just our opinions. We're just having fun. We like doing these shows. Hopefully, you guys appreciate what we're doing. And I know you guys do. And we just enjoy, each other's company and we enjoy talking about music. So there you have it, guys. Our top five albums of 1999 plus two honorable mentions. Please, in the comments below, again, down there, you know the routine. Put your top five of 1999, top two, top 10, top 20, plus an honorable mention, or just comment about what, you know, your opinion on our choices. I know we've gone all over the map. We didn't stay in the prog area, in the prog genre or the rock genre. We went all over the bloody map. Okay, so I mean, it was a smorgasbord of musical choices. So I want to thank Bill for joining me on this journey for the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're going to take a bit of a break. We're going to come back with the 2000s at some point. We have other show ideas coming up. We are going to be doing, eventually, we're going to be doing new music discovery on the Tea Party, where Bill's going to take the lead. He has 6 of the 8 Tea Party albums downloaded digitally. So he's going to listen to, digitally. So yes. So he's going to listen to those and we're going to talk about that. We have shows coming up on our top 30 prog tracks. We're going to do the first installment of the first 10 prog tracks. It's going to be fun. So please stay tuned for that. Is there anything you want to add, Bill?
I don't know, what about the 60s thing?
I
Is it too
forgot.
early?
Yes. My apologies. Eventually, guys, eventually we are going to be tackling our top 5 albums of the 1960s. Yeah. So we're
We
going to pick
weren't
our
originally
top.
going to do the 60s.
No, I know this was uh, a last minute decision that we're going to include the 1960s. My 1960s started in 1965, but
For many people, that's true.
but seeing as how we're going to include jazz and other genres instead of just rock, we're gonna go from 1960 and 1969, but that's gonna happen eventually. We have other shows to deal with first. So, and I do believe that correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Bill's father and his son are going to be joining us at some point on the 60s series. So that's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
Sounds like they're both all in. So
Okay.
that could
Okay.
be entertaining.
All right. We're going to be doing that eventually. So, but for now, we will say goodbye. I want to again thank Mr. Bill Schuster for helping me with this and coming up with these ideas. It's been fun. It's been challenging because the more I went on with the 90s, the more difficult it was to pick a good album that I liked from all the way from track 1 to track 10 or 12. So it was hard, but we had fun doing this. So we will be back with another episode, part 1 of our top 30 prog tracks. Stay tuned. It's going to be hilarious. I'm going to be speaking Italian. So it's going to be
I am
fun.
not.
Bill's not, but I will the best I can. Okay. And we will see you soon. Before I forget, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content that I've got coming up. And I appreciate all the support I've been getting over the year that I started this channel. It's been scary, it's been difficult, um, but it has been worth it. And working with Bill has made it worthwhile for me. So I really do.
You've done great.
Well, thank you so much. And your check is in the mail. Okay.
Can I quit my job?
No, no.
Oh,
You can
okay.
go get a coffee with the check, but you can't quit your job.
I better go get that resignation notice. I got to be back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, make that phone call. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for watching. We'll be back again very soon, within the next few minutes with our part 1 of our top 30 prog tracks. So please stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.